Hi, I'm Jupiter Darkling and I'm here with Crisis Darkling. And in this episode, we're going to discuss our support system when it comes to art. So, for me personally, my partner obviously is my biggest support. But besides that, my mother, she is not too supportive of my artwork. She's more get a regular job and have a solid income, which is something that I'm not capable of doing. My dad, on the other hand, he's no longer with us, but he was very supportive of my artwork. He would always encourage me to keep creating and never stop drawing. He himself was a graphic designer, trained to be graphic designer, but he never sadly did anything with it. And he used to draw a lot, and he said, don't be like me where you give up on it at some point and then try to return to it at a later age and feel lost with it. He always taught me to keep going, keep creating art, and always be true to yourself when it comes to art. Now, my dad and I didn't have the best relationship. He was not the most pleasant of people. But that's some advice that I do really appreciate that he has given me. And, of course, my fiancé is my biggest support system. He is teaching me how to paint currently, and I'm getting better and better at it. He's teaching me techniques, he's teaching me the value of good brushes, of decent paints, and to not really skip on, the good quality stuff. So when you just start out with art, you don't need the best of supplies, you just need some supplies to get a feel for it. But once you feel like you're getting to a point where you're getting better, and want to get more serious about it, then it's wise to invest in good quality materials. And that's a thing that I value so much that my fiancé has taught me. Because I'm used to working with cheap paints and cheap brushes. And when I'm in England with him, I compare the works that I've done here and the works I've done in the Netherlands with my cheap supplies. And it's a massive difference. It is seriously a world of difference. Okay, yeah, I've been painting a lot here in England. But it's not just getting skill, it's also you can see the smoothness of the materials, the brush strokes and everything. And my fiancé is always there for me. He also teaches me to never give up on my art, to always keep fighting for it, to always keep going, even when times get hard and things feel dark and dire. And I do the same for him. We give each other good criticism when it comes to art. We're not afraid to say, oh, maybe you should go in this direction, or maybe this doesn't work, or yeah, this will really work. We're not afraid to go there with each other. We always are super honest with each other when it comes to everything, not just art. But when it comes to art, we want to make sure we do the best that we can. So we have this very intricate support system where we cheer each other on. And I'm essentially my fiance's manager. My fiance struggles with anxiety when it comes to networking and emailing for certain business opportunities and stuff like that. And where I myself struggle with doing that for myself, I have no problem whatsoever doing it for my fiance. And I think that's where my struggle is personally. Because if I do it for myself, it's scary, it's real. But if I do it for my fiance, it's empowering. Because I'm empowering the love of my life to get his work out there. And his work is phenomenal. And no, I'm not biased, because when I met him on Instagram, I saw his artwork on his page, and I was blown away. And I don't have that with a lot of artists. I only have a handful of artists where I'm absolutely obsessed with their artwork, and my fiance is one of them. And he's only gotten better since. And it's not biasness, it's just pure from the beginning, from when I met him, that I've seen this, that I've felt this. And I love that we keep growing together. We create art together. We have our multiple businesses that we pour our heart and soul into. And we always lift each other up and make sure that neither of us quit, and we motivate each other.
And so, our fiance Carly, she just started like going into like physical paintings now, and you've never like really done that before.
No.
And the standard that you're at, because you're doing this now when I was doing it then, and the standard that you're at is just way beyond what I was like doing back then when I started myself. And I did all the work that I used to do back then, but not long back I showed you the stuff I was doing and where I come from. And even though I was like cringing at like what I did, that's where you're gonna go far with that as well, because the standard that you're at now, and you criticise yourself on that you feel you're never good enough, but that every artist like says that about themselves.
Yeah.
But that's why I compare it, and it's like, look at where I was at then, and you just found a style, and you're going a style now already, and every piece that you're doing now, right now, I've noticed like you just found and you're flowing with it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing with like, now you're used to digital. I was the other way. I was traditional, went to digital.
Yeah.
After, and you're the other way. You're going backwards in that way. Now but the scary thing with digital, digital's not easier, but it's easier in choices.
Yeah.
That you can afford to experiment if you want. What's weird for me, I've got used to digital, so when I go back to traditional, it's a bit scary. It's a bit more. So I've noticed like we're painting together like physically, and this I think the difference between us, like I'm a bit more. Yeah, I can't do a layer now. I've got to wait for it to dry and think what I'm going to do next.
Yeah.
Whereas digital, you can just experiment with it and do it.
Yeah.
Even though drying time, you can just get on with it. And if that fails this layer, then fine, whatever. You can either keep it there or delete it, whatever. But you still work digital in that way, and you just get on with it.
Yeah.
And I wish I had them skills. So you're teaching me on that. And you say I'm teaching you on that, but you're also learning me. And you just get on with it. And I don't know how you can go from digital into this, the way you just get on with it.
Yeah.
And me, I'm just like sat there like, oh yeah. And like you'll finish 3 paintings while I'm still like blocking in on the first image. So I'm a lot more slower on that, but I go by choices and decisions, and I don't know where to go with it sometimes, and that's why digital has helped. But I go with the flow and things. I've got an idea on stuff, but going back to like traditional again, I'm learning stuff from you on that, and that's where we bounce off each other with them things.
Definitely.
And yeah, I did traditional, so when I'm like teaching you other things like what you just said there, it's that. But even though like you've worked like with cheaper paints and brushes before, one thing I was telling you about, that when COVID happened, I could no longer get the canvases that, cause I always got the best canvases I could get, and then I had to get these like cheap boards, canvas boards.
Yeah.
And they just literally absorbed the paint. As soon as like you applied it, it just sucked it in. And it was so hard to work with. But eventually, because I wanted a body of work of 20 works, and I got these like 20 canvases. I got 25. I just like thought I've got 5 that I can like, give or take a few mistakes or whatever. But I got the 20 that I was after. But it made me a better artist. So working with cheaper things as well. Like, don't get discouraged if anyone's like can't afford like dearer materials.
Yeah.
Because when it does come to it, and I think that's where you've realised it yourself, that when you got like decent brushes, you realise, oh wow, because you used to painting like cheap brushes or paints and this and that. And I think it's the same thing when I was back on the canvas boards. It was the old, oh wow, when I went back to my old canvases again and brushes, it was like, it flowed.
Yeah.
So that's where we bounce off each other with that. And the topic of the whole thing with the support system, we just bounce, we got the connection.
Yeah.
But for me, it's the same with my family and that, and my mum's like no longer with me, myself, and she was, my dad like was always like supporting me like creatively, but I think he's like lost it over the years with me, supportive, and he's moved on with his life and things, and he just, I don't think he truly gets it.
Yeah.
And again, my mum was never like into the arts, and never really talked much about the arts with my mum. I did my dad in that way, but I figured out that my dad, I think, was just more, I was young, I couldn't afford to like experiment and stuff with my life, but now I'm getting older, it's more, and I've got my challenges, and I found like family are more supportive in me applying for a benefit system with certain things than pushing for my art. And that's things that you pick up, that what people really mean without saying things.
Yeah.
That you know that deep down they believe you more of a, I don't know, like a welfare case than an artist.
Yeah.
And I think it's natural because people are just wired that way and that way. And my grandma herself, I get so shy talking about my art with my grandma because, again, I know she's from a different background.
Yeah.
So even like from a grandma, it's like that I have to kind of, when I tell her, oh yeah, we've been doing art today, it's more like a playtime. It's like an hobby. Oh yeah, we've been having fun. It's more like that.
Yeah.
Rather than tell her like the seriousness of like what we're doing.
Yeah.
And the support system. And same with my sister, she always like apparently backed me, but deep down never really did, because there was never, no, they had like a big network with people, but never pushed anything with it. But yet I found that they pushed other people on certain things. And families are no longer like, she fell out with me, but you look back and that is the reason why she fell out with me now, because back then, they weren't really supporting me back then with certain things. So none of my family in that way have like really supported me in that way. One thing they have done is they've done a lot for me in the way of they've let me experiment in that way, and that's one thing I do thank everyone for.
Yeah.
But I think it's just this art thing. I think it's just this childhood dream. They think that you're going after. But they supported me in that way financially. You know, when you can't afford to have an house and you can still live at home and experiment, but at the same time you feel like a teenager in your bedroom.
Yeah.
Dreaming to be an artist or something. It's something like that. And it's the equivalent of like everyone wants to be a pop star when they're at home, a teen. So it's that feeling. And I've never really had anything like, until I've met you, that like core support where you believe in each other. And I think over the years it brainwashes you in a way of that you start finding it hard to believe when somebody believes in you.
Yeah. No, definitely. Because for those who don't know, we met via Instagram about 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3.5 years, isn't it? 2022.
January.
Yeah, January.
A few days after the new year.
Yeah, so that's 3.5 years ago approximately. And I did this because I also do makeup art, but very amateuristically. It's just a hobby that I have. And I posted this doll look, and my now fiance was researching doll makeup on Instagram for an art project, and he came across my post. So he shot me a message, and I messaged him back because it was such a sweet message, and his art wowed me. Everything just felt like right. And the rest is history. That's how we met. And I've always had that core belief in him, because it was brilliant what I saw, and he's only gotten better. And if I can give some advice, don't doubt yourself too much. Have fun with it, experiment, find your style, and roll with it. Because there's always going to be a fan out there. Because seriously, I'm not ashamed to say I'm my fiance's biggest fan. No one can be a bigger fan of my fiance than I am. Because I was going to buy a print of my fiance when we were just friends. And I was saving up the money for it, but my mom brainwashed me into thinking, oh no, that's a bit expensive for a print. And that's where I feel bad, because I've always wanted to buy a print of my fiance, and honestly, now I get prints for free. And there's a few in my bedroom. And, oh, I love it. And there's a few in our art studio in the Netherlands. And I love it. Seriously, every time I'm in the Netherlands, I look at them for God knows how long. And all I keep thinking is, this amazing artist is my fiance now. And I have this internal drive to just push more for his art than for my own. Because I feel like his art is more unique than mine. There's something in it that just needs to be seen. Something in it that can make people feel something. Where I feel like my art's quite hollow. Not completely emotionless, but more, it lacks something. And that's where I'm still developing my style. And that's perfectly fine, because you all need to start somewhere. Like, yeah, I have a background of drawing with Copic markers and liquid inks. Like from Winsor & Newton. But painting I never really did. I just did like abstract paintings for art therapy. But never like serious painting. So that's where I'm like now getting into it and developing my style and all those things. And I feel so incredibly supported by my fiance. Because I got the room and the freedom to experiment, to find my style, and to push for it when the time is right. For my fiance, the time is right now. But of course, art burnout is a real thing. So eventually you get burnout with your art, you need a break. And that's perfectly fine, it's perfectly normal. So if you experience art burnout or art block, do not punish yourself for that. That is part of the creative process, that's part of having a creative brain. Just know that eventually it will get better. You'll get the motivation again. And you'll pick it up. So even if you don't have a big support system like the two of us have, we just basically have each other now as support systems. Don't feel like you're missing out on anything. Be your own biggest supporter. Because in the end, you're doing it for yourself. You have to create the art that you like and that you want to see in the world, because that's what the world is lacking. Your art. For example, if you want to be a singer and you want to sound like Amy Lee from Evanescence, okay, great. But there already is an Amy Lee. So where's your voice? Same goes for art. Create the art that you want to see in the world. That you think the world needs. And that is the beauty of it. And that's exactly what we're doing, and supporting each other in it. Creating the art that we feel the world needs to see, but coming from our own emotions, our own experiences, our own perspectives, and our own love for art. We're not doing it for likes, we're not doing it for clicks, we're not doing it for whatever. Of course we want to make money off of art because it's our livelihood, but we want to turn our livelihood into something more. But it's not about the cash, it's about creating the art that comes from within. The art that means something to us, the art that the world needs. And that's where I am my fiance's biggest supporter, my fiance's biggest fan, because he has that uniqueness. I have never seen artwork that has such raw emotion in it. Like, he can do this painting, and then when I cover the eyes, I see the smile, and I think, whoa, it's happy. But when I cover the mouth, I see this darkness in the eyes, and you're like, this is such a sad, tragic painting. And that's gorgeous, like the duality of it. And I feel like the world needs more of that, more uniqueness in the art scene.
Yeah, and what you was on about there, like, create the art that you want to create, because it's like a lot of fan art, and like when it's down to like films, movies, a lot of people do this hobby where they create a script of what they want to see next on a film in a sequel. And you hear this time and time again where fan art is better than the sequel, because how many times have we seen a film that we like, we go to cinema, see it again, the sequel, and it disappoints. And because fan art has got this where it's better and people are passionate about it. And I think that's the thing, like, directors, they get so, they overthink. and to start believing in the money. And that's why you don't follow the cash.
No.
Because people are doing this in an hobby, and yet there's better artistic expression in them things, like when it comes to like movie scripts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They create better films.
Definitely.
And the thing is, again, is like that, and again, back to that print when we first met, a lot of people messed me about, and I knew like we had this deep connection between us both, and so I was going to treat you to a freebie, but your mum obviously stepped in and, it's a bit expensive.
Yeah. Oh.
But I was never going to charge you for it because of the connection that we had, and obviously because like something was deeper. And obviously back then, like, things was new, so obviously like back then, yeah, we'd never met at that point, and there's that point where you think like, is this really somebody conning me again, and this and that. So that's where that comes from, and that. But
I want to step in here.
Yeah.
Even if you would have treated me to like a freebie print, I would still send you a tip, because.
And that's who you are.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because you're
And same
worth
as me,
more than
yeah.
that. So I would
same
have
with me,
tipped
and
you.
I think that's just the human instinct that we are on things. Like we're kinder than we've noticed normal like people sort of thing, and
Yeah.
I would never like charge you on that. It was just that I think the seriousness about that you was willing to buy it, that knew it was different. And it's just a lot of people like messed me back about back then.
Yeah.
And that was the time where that thing that was going on before, where somebody was hiring me and there was messing me about from Ireland, and it was a big job. It was like worth a few £1,000, and she was rich, she was loaded, but it wasn't the typical con that you get on Instagram or Etsy. You know, she reeled me in, and that was around that time then, and I just got a lot of like people just messing me about with things. And I don't know about other artists out there, but other people get messed about in that way.
Yeah.
You know, and that also causes like a lot of burnout as well.
Definitely.
With things. And one that I didn't trust you, it was just more listening to the seriousness that was different and just taking that in. And I just knew like I was never going to charge you for that. But there you are from your end, not knowing that I would have gifted it, but you're so serious because there we go, you're telling your mum.
Yeah.
And she like obviously talked you out with it, but there we go. But that's the difference, like with people on certain things, and with the old support system again with your mum. That when it comes to your own art or somebody that you like, it's that, you know what I mean. Like somebody's got to step in, and just control what you want, what you really want to do. I think it's the same thing with a lot of things like. And yeah, it was expensive, the print, but it was Giclée prints.
Yep.
It also cost me a lot of money, and you don't really make that much off it. And if anything, the printers make more money than you as an artist yourself in that way. And that's where, like, when people don't realise, like your mum sort of thing with that, they don't realise, like, the cost that is put into that as well.
Exactly.
And of course, me being me, I want to put the best out there on things and do Giclée and things like that. And alright, I could do like just cheap digital prints and things, but you always learn along the way, and things are changing all the time, and it's what people want and styles, tastes, and this and that. But me, I always put things out there what I want. Yeah. One thing I've realised, it's not always what people maybe want. So I've always tried to like dodge the old digital prints, but you realise people are like that, maybe in that way. And I always think like if you don't put the best out there and the best quality and the best this and the best that, because Giclée prints are just the ultimate like luxury brands. Well, that's it in paper wise as in prints. Yep. It's the top notch thing. So I just wanted to put that out there, but you found people probably not really bothered about it. Mm-hmm. They want to support an artist, and if they can buy like a digital print cheaper and this and that, then fine. Yeah. And Giclées are expensive, but when an artist charges money for like a Giclée print, it's because it's costing them a lot of money. It's not that they're profiting off something or out, things like that. If anything, from a cheap digital print, you're probably, as an artist, going to make more money off that than a G-Clay in that way, unless you've got like a big name or something against your name or things like that. But you learn from things.
And what I wanted to add about the print that I wanted to buy from you is like, I almost had enough money. I was like 20 euros short or something. And then I told Mom, like, oh, I've been saving up to buy this print of my new friend. And he's really awesome. Showed her the artwork that you were doing. She was like, oh, it's really good. But isn't that a bit expensive? And my mom was really good at, like, making me, like, feel bad for wanting certain things. Don't get me wrong, I love my mom. She's amazing. But I got this thing that that's been ingrained in me. If my mom doesn't agree with something that I want, then I don't get it. And she did it as like a protection thing when I was younger, but it kind of messed me up as an adult. Because I still live by it, like with clothes and everything, and that is horrible. But yeah, so I was like, oh no. Because I used to have this really cool Baroque mirror, and the frame, the mirror broke. But I kept the frame because I knew I wanted that Giclée print of my now fiancé in that frame, and I still have it. Okay, what's mine is his, and what's his is mine now. But I would have commissioned him to make something specific for me. I would have gone there. Because I think it's really important to support small businesses. And I got quite a few items and stickers and prints from independent businesses, small artists and everything, because I love that support system. I love that you can support a small business instead of buying from a big corporation. Because when you buy from a small business, you're actually changing someone's life. Our dinosaur business, Solosaurus Rex, recently made 2 sales. Our first 2 sales. And you really feel it. Even though it's not a whole lot of money. Because we sold a claw that my fiancé made. And what was the other thing that we sold? Oh, a print, Giclée print.
Print, yeah.
Yeah, that was it. That I designed. And it gives you this warm feeling. Like, whoa, something we've made is actually out there. Someone has it. And you just feel amazing. Even though it's not a lot of money that you get for it.
Especially as well when it's overseas as well.
Exactly, because they were in the UK and in America.
But you live in Europe, so still that's abroad for you.
Exactly.
For me, it was America, and so both of us, it was like overseas.
Exactly.
And somebody somewhere in the world has bought it, and yeah, you're grateful for that.
Exactly, and it does really change something. As we're a big corporation, they won't really notice if you buy something or don't. Because what doesn't matter to them, but when you buy from a small independent business, it means everything. Because you're building your brand. And you're building your name. And it just feels amazing. You just feel so warm and just so happy. That's what I want for my fiancé. To get his art out there. He deserves it more than anyone. He just got this unique style, and I just love it. And I need more of his art in my studio. And in my bedroom. Seriously, if you can, just at the end of this video, this podcast, username, everything will be linked, so please go check him out. Please do. Seriously, when you support small businesses, you actually support a person, a real person, and not just some big corporation that doesn't care. So, if you can get something from a big corporation, or something similar from an independent business, I highly advise you to get it from an independent business, because it really matters. It really does.
They care.
They care. So
corporations are more cold. That's
exactly.
Business. That's it. End of.
Exactly.
Cutthroat. Dog eat dog.
Exactly that. And for a small business, you're supporting a real human being. So I got this. Recently, my fiance got me this resin crystal necklace from Dark Magic Designs on Etsy, and I've been wanting like a resin crystal necklace for ages. But I was looking at Love Rocks or Luna Amortes. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but they're like the more known brands for those crystal resin necklaces. Then I came across Dark Magic Designs, and it's this blend of like black and grey. And I thought that's so me. So my fiance, as sweet as he is, he got me it. And I wear it almost every day. And she who made the necklace also sent me stickers, a cleaning cloth for the necklace. Reshared my photo of the one that I posted on Instagram and left a sweet comment. And that's where you really know that it matters. It absolutely matters. Not just are you helping their business, but you're also helping them as a person. And so strangers can be part of your support system as well. Your customers, your clients, your few followers on Instagram, or your thousands of followers on Instagram or TikTok or whatever website or platform is out there. I have no idea. It all matters. And no,
dinosaur ring.
I'm sorry?
Same with the dinosaur ring.
With the dinosaur ring, yeah, exactly.
Small business again with that.
So I got my fiance this ring, and it is a ring made with real Spinosaurus teeth. And for our very first date, we went to Naturalis in Leiden in the Netherlands to see Trix, the real T-Rex. And about a year later, almost exactly a year later, we went back to the place where we had our very first date. And that's where I surprised him with the ring. With the dinosaur ring. But I sent a message to Tom saying that it was for this date. And I explained to him why it was special. And the day it was supposed to arrive, it didn't arrive. So a day later, I contacted him and said, like, oh, it's cutting very close now, and I don't know if it's going to arrive in time. He immediately got on and said, I'm going to make you a new ring. I'm going to send it expedited. I'm going to send it track and traced. No extra costs. I'm going to make sure it gets there on time for the special day. And that's where you know.
Again, you said about it made him like feel warm knowing that what he does.
Exactly. He felt honored and so warm, and he was absolutely happy that it was going to be so special. And
that's the difference, because like, yeah, you get companies that have got good customer care, like big businesses, but they've got people working for them that at the end of the day, are they really passionate about the company? No, they're doing a job. And of course, they're to do a job, and they could get that delivery back out or whatever, but they haven't got that care. Whereas somebody who's got their own business is something different.
Exactly.
And that's the difference again.
Exactly. And, well, half an hour later after that message, the ring arrived.
Yep.
So I messaged him quickly, like, no, hopefully you haven't started yet, but everything's fine. And he was happy that it arrived. He said, no, I haven't started yet, and I wish you all the best of luck and the happiest of days when you give the ring to your fiancé. And seriously, even strangers can be part of your support system, so value that.
But what we do, if we got something equivalent of that, we know what it would feel like. So that's how you know what he feels.
Exactly.
At that point. And it makes him proud.
Yeah.
Like, doing what they do. And that's what when it comes to like a worker, yeah, they can ship some out and, do this and do that. But that's a company telling them to do that, and because it's the company's rep, it's the coldness of a company though, still, when it's a massive company. And that's the difference between like small business and a massive like company, corporate thing going on, and the difference in that.
Definitely. That's all the time we have for this episode. I'm sure we're going to get back to this topic at some point because it's very important to us. Please check us out on our socials. On Instagram, Art by Darkling and Mrs. Darkling Art. And same handles on our Weebly sites. Hopefully we get to have you on the next podcast again. Thank you for listening.